All right, welcome folks to Gordium's idea stream. This is where we talk about the freshest ideas we've had as of late. This is like the second step in our process. We start with our podcast, which will be coming out soon, and then we move to crunching through and brainstorming ideas that we've come up with our podcast and elsewhere. I'm Jimmy Cerrone. I'm a software developer, and that is my friend Neil, who just shaved his head. And I had no idea it was going to happen. He literally did it in an hour and a half of time that I hadn't seen him. Like I saw him with his afro, and then an hour later I saw him again, and it was gone. I don't know if I'm salty. I don't think salty is the right word. Yeah, be kind of dumb. We start with problems here. So we're going to start with our first problem, and then we're going to come up with some potential solutions and kind of iterate on that. So the cost of distractions is low. So I'm thinking about this in terms of like distractions during work. I'm very distractible. So yeah, I run into problems with checking. I mean, I have cold turkey blocker. I've blocked every website imaginable except for npr.org right now, which is bane of my existence because I check that all the time. So basically, if I can get distracted, I will. And I have all these blockers banning it. But I was thinking, like, what if instead of these blockers, I have a lever I have to crank if I want to get distracted? Like, so it bans me from the website unless I like bike for 5 minutes or do 100 push-ups or something dumb like that.
Yeah, I think it's just, well, I think for you, because you have your job is on your computer,
Yeah.
a lot of these,
Oh,
distractions are very available.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's almost like the lever in this problem is like availability of distraction, right?
Mm-hmm. And correct me if I'm wrong, but you use the same computer for work and for personal.
Not for long. Well, actually, it'll be like another 2 months, but at some point, I'm getting a new work computer. So I plan to continue using this one as my personal and then really migrate everything away from my work computer.
Yeah.
But that's
No.
hard to do because it's so freaking convenient. But
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so for me, it's like, okay, my work computer is my work computer, and I don't do, anything personal on it. And then additionally, I'm in office.
yeah,
So
like
for me, it's more the phone is more the issue. So then I just delete the apps.
yeah. I know that one you can very quickly solve. Well, because like on my phone, I have active flow. On the phone, there's active flow, which tackles both levers, you know. Oh,
Mm-hmm.
I did that wrong. Oh no. And like really, I mean, I guess cold turkey does both, but just the range of things that you have to deal with is so much higher. Like I will always dig up a website I can find distracting, you know. Like no matter how many websites I block, I will find a new news site or a new blog that I check religiously, you know.
Yeah, and I think, in some ways that's where the phone is interesting because it's application based instead of browser based.
Yep. So it's so easy. Like with on my phone, I just block or I have active flow, which makes me fill out a questionnaire whenever I want to check email, Medium, what else? And then fantasy football. And I just like, those are the only things I really do on my phone. And so I increase the cost of a distraction, and it's actually not available directly. Which, like, I guess cold turkey blocks the availability entirely and just like drives the cost up to infinity by like driving. Well, I don't know what the difference. Yeah, it makes it unavailable, but it is available and it's really low cost because all I have to do is like click on close block, like stop
Mhm.
blocking me.
What
Yeah.
if you used different browsers? For work related things, you used one browser, and then for personal, you used another browser.
And then just block the other browser because that's another thing I do.
Or
Yeah.
increase. I think with cold turkey and the block in some ways being infinite and not just increasing the cost.
Yeah.
So I like with
Uh,
Actiflow that it's not hard to get around it. It just
yeah,
makes you think.
exactly. So one is like separating personal and work web browsers. I don't think what I mean, I sometimes do that because I use Brave basically as my personal one a lot of times, but yeah. This is interesting though. I think part of the problem sometimes is that is the real problem is work is not engaging sometimes, right? Work just can't always be engaging, or sometimes the work you have to do is just flat out kind of boring. And I think that might even be the root of some of this is there some way we can improve the kind of work that's
What
happening?
did you um
Oh,
when you were in college, how did you find this problem?
I really didn't have it. I mean, well, no, that's not true. Depended on the class. Um, and the availability of a computer, but most of my computer science classes, I was surfing the web the whole class.
Well,
Instead
not during class, but for
of,
homework.
well, I mean, most of the time I like screw around for like 5 or 10 minutes, and then I usually get down to work. I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not usually a problem if I'm, not engaged. It's like if I'm supposed to be doing something, that's usually when it's a problem.
Yeah, I think it comes up when it's not task dependent,
What do you mean?
right? When it's time dependent, right? When you're
Ooh,
sitting
you're
in class,
totally
you're
right.
there,
Yep.
not for a certain amount of content, you're there for a certain amount of time. And
Yeah.
for work, you're either being paid by the hour, or there's some expectation that you work a certain number of hours.
Oh, that's very interesting. Oh, I like that. Yeah, I think it'd be fantastic if work were task oriented, but alas, um, is that the reality of life
Yeah.
at this moment? I don't know. Maybe someday.
Yep.
Do you have more?
No, yeah, I mean, I I think this is in some ways a big gnarly knot that has several places that
Yeah.
you
Yep.
can work on unraveling it, but yeah.
Yeah. Oh well, so there's levels to the levers. Some like decrease distractions, right? That's one way of doing things.
Mm-hmm.
Or like increasing engagement.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's two ways to, yeah, and you're right. I mean, each of these two like categories has a lot of work. I don't
Yeah.
know. I'm trying to think about how to categorize this with our tags. Trying to think. I mean, physical product, it certainly could be one. I almost feel like it's a bud.
Yeah, I think, well, it's a not or not now.
Not or not now. Yeah. I'm gonna put bud though, because I certainly think it's also like got,
Potential.
yeah,
Yeah.
which is not true of all of those type of things. Hi, dog. Blues. I think he's just.
Well, and then do you want to pull the product or progress bar over as well?
Oh, you're right. You're right. You're right. Oh, what's my shortcut? Yeah. Okay, so we are here, right?
No.
For product chat, that's can't.
Scroll up.
Ooh,
It's the
oh
first one,
yeah. Okay.
and then pull over the screenshot as well.
Is it so? That's the first screenshot there.
Yep.
It was working. Some
Oh,
of
it was.
yeah. This page was working, but it wasn't working on this page. I don't know.
Okay. Huh.
All right. That's idea number one. I think we've got, I don't know, we'll see. Oh, I love this. I love this problem. So this is from Mr. Money Mustache. We try to add happiness instead of removing negatives. So I think it's such a fascinating point of when you are like, I'm not feeling great today. Let me buy that new, sleep number bed. It's like, well, that's not going to do a ton for you because you always return to baseline, right? Your happiness level will always level out to some baseline. Um, what you can do though is remove like tangible negatives. So if you buy that sleep number because you can't sleep, and then all of a sudden you start sleeping really well, like boom, your life's going to get a lot better. You know,
Yeah. So it
like
depends on where it's coming from. Is it, buying the new sleep number bed because your friend bought it and says it's great, or is it because you're not sleeping?
I mean, basically, it's like problem solving. It's like, are you like another way to phrase this is purchases that solve problems are the best ones, or even or actions that solve problems. Like just in general, like it's kind of weird. It's better to take something away than to add something. Like that. That should be our first instinct. Um, I really, I forgot about this, dude. Because what I want to do is integrate this in our "How often do I think about it" app.
Yeah.
I really want to return to that because I think really what we built is a specific example of a general decision making like
Mm-hmm.
algorithm. And I think we can improve that a ton, like by writing down like what's the problem being solved. And when you're thinking about making a decision, what problem does that decision solve, whether that be a purchase or yeah.
Yeah. No, I mean, quick comment on that app. I feel like we continually come back to it. So yeah, it makes sense to make it more robust and generalizable.
Yep.
I've got a question for you.
Yeah.
So for those watching, Jimmy has a set of heuristics when he makes purchases.
Oh,
Mostly for like as a budgeting replacement. Do you have anything, like this in your budgeting or in your purchasing heuristics?
no, I'm gonna make a note. Let me think. What are the things? I mean, so my heuristic is, can I buy it 3 times and still be fine? So like basically, can I afford it? And then um I recently added talking to like you or Liv about the purchase. And then the last one is, and probably the most important one, honestly, is does it change the way I see the world?
Mm,
So I guess I don't know if I fully agree with this then, because I mean, I bought this Remarkable, which was like, I don't know if the Remarkable, I had a problem where I wanted to read articles and this solved that problem and solved it really well, but I
this
don't
relates
know.
back to the previous one.
Yeah. What was the previous one? I've forgotten already.
Well, just the cost of distractions
Oh,
is low.
oh, the Remarkable or
Yeah, because I mean,
oh,
you
oh,
pull the articles over to it, and then
oh,
you don't have the distractions.
that's
But
very true. So that
yeah,
was solving a problem. I mean, that was solving a problem. I guess if I don't, yeah, I would love to add this to my budgeting process.
yeah. Well, I guess so. I just bought a drone, um,
Yeah. Oh yeah.
and in some ways, it isn't removing a negative, um, but it is changing the way I view the world.
Yeah.
So then that leaves me sort of torn.
Yeah.
And I guess it might come between, you know, those, fire people, right? And there it's, not, you're not quite trying to milk as much from life as you can. You're trying to optimize for different things, fire people versus other people.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think I'm almost thinking there's like exploratory purchases and there,
Yeah.
there's others. Um, I think that's a legitimate question is like where do exploratory purchases like notebook or drone for Neil fit in here? I think that's a really legit question because I think there's some things that like lead us places we couldn't imagine.
Yeah,
But
that's
I think
fair.
it does. I think a lot of times it starts with a problem. Like, what's your problem with the drone? Well, I don't know. I still think there has to be some element of problem solving for something to be fulfilling, right?
Yeah.
I've made a lot of purchases that are just like one that I really have hit on is food. I think for a while I spent a lot of money on food, and after a certain point, it's not very fulfilling. And I think part
Hmm.
of it is because it's like, what problem are you solving? How does this change the way you look at the world? Like, well, I don't know. I think something can, well, I'm solving the problem of hunger
Yeah, but
and
but
now,
your,
well, yeah.
marginal benefit, right? If you're buying fancy food versus non-fancy food, it addresses the same problem.
Yes. Yeah. And I think that's where the disconnect was. So I don't know. But there's certainly some food that's just like, oh my God, I've never seen anything like that before. And I think there's definitely this space of life that's not solving a problem. And I think that's good. I think that's like exploration and growth. And
Hmm.
so I don't know that this fully solves everything as much as I thought coming in, but it's still useful. Cool.
Yeah, I think it's one piece, um, one arrow that should go in the quiver
Yeah,
of making decisions.
exactly. Yeah. Because I don't think you should decide, like, I don't think you should not get something interesting because it doesn't solve a problem. Because it might, it might, and it might solve an unexpected problem. I think there's definitely an element of the unknown here.
Mm-hmm.
It reminds me of noise. I don't know what to make of it in light of noise. Because I think noise would say, right, how do you make repeatable decisions? I don't know that purchasing decisions.
Oh, I mean, if noise would advocate for breaking it down into, base questions such as this,
Oh,
right?
yes, you're right. Like breaking that big decision into much smaller ones.
Yeah, it's hard to answer, should I buy a drone? But it's easier to answer,
Oh,
does this remove negative? Does this change the way you view the world? Does this yada yada yada?
those are two. I think you'd have to answer yes to one of those two. And those are two very different kinds of purchases. Like if I'm looking to solve a problem, like I want to have a backup for my phone in terms of a GPS, and a GPS solves my problem, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the way I go about that purchase, I am not willing to spend very much on that. But exploratory, I'm much more willing to spend on, I think. Um,
Yeah.
okay. Because I want the best experience for something new. Whereas if something like proven out, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
All right. We need to stop recording.
Well, let's put tags,
Oh my,
because we'll need to wrap this into.
uh, yeah, what do we want to tag this as?
I think it gets directed to how much does it cost, or how often do you think about it? Right, and it just gets rolled together with that.
How often do you think of buying it? What was the problem for that? Right? Because that's what we'll have to find. Buying, budgeting, purchase. I don't know. Do you?
Well, I guess we can, um, you know, later on add it, but for those listening, we'll link it to
Yeah.
how often do
Oh,
you think about buying it
well, let me do
idea.
search. I wonder if this has a good connection. Impulse. Oh, it's challenging. Maybe this, but these were problems that were derivatives of other ones. Infrequent. Nope.
Well,
Impulse.
can't we just link it to that?
Oh yeah, let's do that. I think that's a Kanban project. Okay. All right, folks. Thanks for joining us this morning. We will. Oh, we should reference this in tags, shouldn't we? No, because it's connected to.
Yeah.
I feel like it's a lab though. I want to throw that on, and then we'll do progress meter, right?
Yeah. But it will be,
The technically,
it's, since it's just pointing to the other one, I
yeah,
think we should have like a C, other, because I don't want to have to, update,
both
if we have 15 things pointing to one.
extension, like idea that adds on to existing one.
Mhm.
Yeah, and then we don't want to do lab, we want to do extension. Okay. All right, folks. We'll see you shortly on business canvases, but you'll see that at a later date. All right. Bye.